Hello, I'm BX and welcome back to the video. Today let's talk about the next update coming out for Minecraft on the consoles. This is mostly a preparation video though, because I wanted to kind of show off builds you can make to be ready for that next update. Because if you've been subscribed to the channel for a while, you might know that I build sections of my world ready for parts of the update. So for instance, when TU43 was about to come out, I built this giant polar bear and this igloo, so that when the update came out, I had stuff around me, and also it was just kind of fun in general. And a lot of people ask, what are you doing for TU49 then? Because, you know, there's, or TU50 or TU51, because, you know, there's lots of stuff in this update, but not necessarily all of it's quite so buildable, and I figured I'd show off the part of my world I prepared for that, and maybe you're inspired to do this yourself, because I've actually had a lot of fun building these things. So yeah, here are the builds I'm making for the next update that maybe you might want to build too. Hopefully you do enjoy the video, like it if you do, because it helps out the channel a lot, and let us know you do like this sort of video. But with that said, let's get straight into it, shall we? And let's start with the first one here, which is the one that I'm most curious about, because, you know, it's one I'm really terrible at, but I'm improving every single time I do it, because it is treasure maps. So treasure maps aren't something you can really build in a normal form. However, you can use the inspiration from the treasure maps, because they look very different to a regular map, and you can use them to make stuff like this to kind of pinpoint where locations are in a giant physical form. So yeah, this is inspired by one form of the treasure map, and in this case it points out where my house is. All you have to do is find the bend in the river that looks like that, near the second smaller bend, and you'll know my house is just over there. It's a map, but in real life, which I think is a really cool concept by itself. Or if you want to do a more budget version, because I tried to make this one look kind of similar, but if you just want to use like cheap resources like wood, then here you can see I've got a map of my oceans, where, oh, there's my land, there's another tiny island, and between those two islands, or like parallel, perpendicular to the two, you'll actually find just over there you know, my ocean monument. Boom! Now I've got a treasure map to the ocean monument, and you can kind of make these physically in a way that I think is pretty cool and actually pretty appealing. I mean, again, I don't think these are perfect renditions. I think if you played around with different resources, different blocks, etc., you'd get it better. But I quite like the you know, the way they're kind of similar to a treasure map, and also the fact that you could put them on the wall of something else. I just think is kind of great, and I think this is also a great thing to build at spawn. So yeah, this is the first build, a treasure map, which I think is a great way to show where something is in your world based on like physical geography rather than you know, or your Minecraft geography I should say, then rather than based on like random, like, oh yeah, it's a X 400 over, because some people have problems following coordinates, but following a particular place like that is somewhat easy sometimes. Anyway, the second build that I'm going to recommend here is actually going to be a giant shulker box. So shulker boxes, obviously something coming in this update, and the thing about the shulker box is, you know, this one actually, I don't think it looks amazing. I tried a few different designs, and they all kind of had the exact same fault, because basically they come in 16 colors, and all of those 16 colors are hard to make. So this one's kind of a challenge to you all, I guess, to make one that looks somewhat better than this, because this one's off on a whole bunch of different ways. But yeah, as you can see, if you look here, it is a shulker box, and on the inside, it stores all my stuff, like a shulker box would. And I think, you know, once the shulker boxes finally do come to the game, you can maybe, you know, cover the inside of this with shulker boxes. However you want to particularly do it, there's a bunch of different ways, but I think it's kind of cool that you could have this, you know, giant area. In fact, you could have shulker boxes filled with shulker boxes when the update comes out inside a shulker box, and that would be pretty cool, right? But yeah, as you can see, this right here is the thing. Again, like I said, I think the design of it is something you could probably perfect by not following the block. You know, most blocks in Minecraft, like the magma block, which is just over there, or like my sea lantern, or, you know, over there, for instance, you know, some blocks can be followed really easily by just copying the smaller block like that. However, I think the shulker box, you have to kind of use your own design, but that's why I think it's a great idea for a build if you're looking for something TU49/TU56 or whatever related. Anyway, that said, let's move on to the next thing here, which is going to be the woodland mansion. So this is the big daddy of all the builds, and it's one I've been having the most fun with because it's such a giant build process. But once you're done with it, you have essentially, so the big thing about new structures when they come to Minecraft is they're cool because they're found naturally. You know, the woodland mansion is not only incredibly rare, but because of the way Minecraft console works, unless you're playing a large world, you're actually unlikely to even have one of these at all in your world, which is, I think that's going to raise some questions about the update and how that whole thing works, but for now let's just talk about what that means, because it means you probably won't have one of these in your world, which means that it's probably worth going ahead and building yourself one now, just so you can, you know, in case you want to explore one, because if you build it yourself, you can then, you know, customize the design to be how you want. Do you want to have giant cat rooms in every room? Guess what? You can do that. Do you want to have, like, storage rooms? You can do that too, and it also makes for the grandest, coolest house in the world, especially because it's not even out yet. You can be like, oh yeah, this is my house, it's actually a wooden mansion. You guys don't have one of those yet? You can confuse your friends, or you can just show off that, yep, I built this thing, because it's actually a relatively cheap build to make. Again, it's made from just wood, stone, yeah, really basic stuff you probably have a lot of, so it's really easy to get the resources for, and I imagine building this thing in survival would be the coolest thing you can do if you've got, like, a flattish area, and you want to kind of show off that, yeah, I built this thing. I had to burn down like 50 forests 10 times each, and yeah, it's a cool kind of result you get from that. So yeah, this is the Wooden Mansion. My one's not actually finished yet. It's going to take a really long time. Like, you know, even the basic structures to like get it, copy it perfectly, get it right, takes some time. But as you can see, it's getting there slowly but surely. The Wooden Mansion, the third build for this update, I'd recommend. The fourth one here is actually like a llama or any other mob in this update, because yeah, as you can see, this is a giant llama. It's pretty darn nice. And if you so I know I've mentioned this before, but I really love giant mobs in my world. So the polar bear, great. I really love the way that looks. The spider, still pretty great. The sheep even. Like, I think building mobs in Minecraft is a really cool big build thing to have. And I think, also, by the way, if you have a giant sheep in your world, if you're literally one of the 5 people watching this video, or probably one person watching this video that happens to have a sheep, you could convert that into a llama without too much effort, because they're kind of similar. But yeah, a llama, pretty cool thing to build. And the variant I've added on this is I built it over a village, so it looks like the llama's just crushing the village, because it's a giant llama. I kind of like that as a touch. But yeah, in general, llama's going to be a really cool mob in this next update, and if you want to kind of celebrate that, you can build any llama you want, because bear in mind they come in 16 colors, like with the shulker boxes. So yeah, if you're the sort of person that likes building, like recreations of things from the updates, this llama thing's got you covered, because 16 different designs, and that is the fourth thing I'm going to recommend for this update. And you could also turn this into a house if you wanted to. Again, I'd recommend the Woodland Mansion as the house, because it basically is a house already. But if you don't want to live in a mansion, you want to live in something a bit more bizarre and confusing, I guess a giant llama would do too. But I can't entirely recommend that. Anyway, with that said, let's move on to the final one here, which is going to be the Totem of Undying. So this is a Totem of Undying right here. As you can see, this is a bit higher resolution than the one in regular Minecraft, which is really hard to recreate. And I kind of like the, kind of design this thing. It looks like it's kind of fiery, it's got the eyes. Again, you can kind of take this, do whatever you want with it though. But yeah, this is the Totem of Undying, and I think this is a great thing to either have at spawn or have somewhere where it's dangerous. This can be like a danger marker in your world. Like, oh yeah, if you go ahead, there's nothing but fire and water and a trap or something. Or again, you can put it at spawn as like, oh, you wouldn't have had to come back to this place if you'd had one of me. Just a pretty cool item to have in general. These things are going to be very rare to find in the game themselves. So this can be this is a really symbolic gesture after the next update when people understand just how rare they are on Minecraft console. And I think in general, yeah, Totem of Undying, pretty interesting build to have, and I found it to be relatively fun to build in general, because again, it's in creative you've just got the blocks, but in survival you can go to a mesa biome, and that's what I love about all of these actually, with the exception of like this one, which White Wall's not that easy, but it's the easiest wall. You can actually build all of these relatively easy in survival, which means if you're a big TU49 survival exploration update player fan thing, then you can build all these things relatively easy, or you could combine all of them into one. You could have a giant shulker box inside your house, have this be on one of the walls, have a llama be crushing the Woodland Mansion, and have a giant Totem of Undying on top of it, which says TU49 and signifies that, yeah, or TU56 or 53, that signifies that, yeah, you're pumped about this update. But yeah, that is 5 builds you can do for the next update. A few people asked what I was going to do for that. Here's what I've been building and working in the background. I hope you did all enjoy today's video. Like it if you did like it, because it helps out the channel a lot. Let us know you do like the TU49 build stuff. Share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here, because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and especially when updates comes out. If you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage, as well as when an update does come out, I make a video. So maybe hit the bell too, so you get a notification when I make those. Anyway, with that said, I hope you all enjoyed it, because I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.